The apparent ascendance of the cancel culture is causing a backlash among Main Street Americans and conservatives on Capitol Hill. Arkansas Senator Tim Cotton tells One America's John Hines that cancel culture is very dangerous to open expression and the foundations of our democracy.
Sure, I wanted to ask you, I know you've been speaking out on this concept of cancel culture and you've had some personal experience with it. What's going on, sir?
Well, for years you've seen on our college campuses social justice warriors who claim any idea that they don't like should not be heard. It should be banished from college campuses. There should be no discussion of it. They call it a microaggression, or they want safe spaces. Regrettably, that attitude has now entered our workplaces, our society at large. You saw it last month when I published an op-ed in the New York Times. That op-ed was solicited by the New York Times. They even gave it the title, Send in the Troops. Yet when their young workforce rose up in opposition to it because they didn't like the argument it advanced, the New York Times apologized for running it. The top editor at the New York Times was fired. They said they would no longer run such editorials anymore. They'd reduce the number of op-eds they ran, and they'd run only farther left-wing op-eds because they want to protect their workforce and their far-left readers from being exposed to ideas contrary to their own, as opposed to, say, running another op-ed that disagreed with mine. It gets more pernicious than that, though, as well. Just last week, you saw Barry Weiss at the New York Times resign after having faced what appears to be harassment based on her religion and her sex, and many other people in our society who are losing their jobs or being boycotted simply because they express support for President Trump, or they express conservative viewpoints, or anything else that is not in lockstep with the far left ideology of organizations like the New York Times or MSNBC or other organs of culture and our universities and so forth. I think it's very dangerous to the open expression of ideas and free exchange and debate on which our society is based.
Would you say there is potentially a blind spot in the woke cancel culture, particularly with regard to China, which is another issue you've been speaking out on?
Yeah, of course there is. So just look at what the NBA has done recently. They've approved all kinds of left-wing slogans for players to wear on their jerseys, or that you can buy if you go to their online store. But if you wanted to wear, say, support our troops or back the blue or free Hong Kong, players couldn't wear that. You couldn't buy that on their jersey. NBA players condemn their own executives if they say that we should stand up for Hong Kong's autonomy. So there's a lot of criticism of America. And America is not a perfect nation by any means. We're made up of people and we're all flawed. But there's very little criticism of communist China, who is currently imprisoning millions of religious minorities in gulags, harvesting their organs, cracking down on the vibrant democratic traditions of Hong Kong. Where are these far left radicals protesting that? I don't hear it, in part because in many cases they share the far left authoritarian tendencies of the Communist Party in Beijing.
And sir, what is the point of action, do you think, for people? What should they take away from this? What should they take away the fact that you're talking out about this? Does this have implications for the election in the fall? What's your thought?
So I think first, Americans should not be intimidated by this vocal but relatively small minority of leftists. Just look at public opinion polls on a topic like, say, defunding the police. That is an insane, stupid idea that 60, 70% plus of Americans oppose. Yet if you go on social media or you read the New York Times or you watch MSNBC, you would think that it is a sensible mainstream idea. It is simply not the case. The first thing Americans should do is be confident in their common sense views that we've always held. And the second thing they should do is to vote in November for political leaders, whether it's for the presidency down to local offices, who will respect the rights of all Americans to exercise their First Amendment rights free of intimidation, not only of government, but also of the kind of social pressures you see in workplaces like the New York Times or in Silicon Valley, when your political views or your religious views should not matter on how you can design a computer program, or whether or not you can perform a surgery, or you can market a product effectively. We should be able to express political or religious or social views independent of what we do in our workplaces without fear of boycott or retribution or firing or any other kind of adverse actions.
Senator Tom Cotton, good to catch up with you on One American News. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.